It's 47 days away. JDM was just in an absolute war. Why can't Islam fight Ilia in 47 days and then win or lose? His next fight is at 170. Why can't... There's one guy left, and it's such a gigantic fight. It's the second biggest fight that the UFC could put on. Some might say the biggest, given how popular they both are.
Obviously, I think Islam's... what he's done is probably given him... I think he deserves a shot if he wants to step up, but I guess that's not my call. It's up to the UFC.
Do you have any response to Islam?
No, come get it. Come get it.
It seems that Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev fight may not happen as Belal Muhammad lost his title to Jack Della Maddalena. Ilia was ready to face Islam Makhachev and even tagged him this past on May 10th on X, stating "Happy Saturday." In the video, Topuria is seen hitting pads and performing different drills at the Topuria training center, sending a playful or subtle message to Makhachev. Given the tag, Topuria was teasing a potential matchup. However, Islam Makhachev completely ignores Ilia Topuria and calls out Jack Della as soon as Belal Muhammad lost. Makhachev expressed his ambition to chase two-division glory, making it clear he's eyeing a move up to welterweight in pursuit of becoming a double champion. Right after the announcement, Islam Makhachev took to X, posting that he's eager to face JDM. He stated, "Time to become a double champion, inshallah. Let's go." Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani acknowledged that while the fight may not have been the biggest or most anticipated title clash on paper, the stakes surrounding it were enormous. He pointed out how the outcome had immediate ripple effects on the division, with Islam Makhachev tweeting just seconds after the final bell, calling out JDM. As many expected with Belal falling short, the path appears to be clearing for a high-stakes showdown between Makhachev and Maddalena.
And look, we have to address this because it's the thing that's happening right now, and this is what everyone's talking about. The fight may not have been the biggest in UFC history. On paper, it wasn't the most anticipated title fight in UFC history, but the stakes, and you guys talked about it brilliantly on The Crack yesterday, the stakes were just so massive. And so as we sit here right now, Chuck, the stakes are sort of fluctuating, they're evolving in front of us, because Islam Makhachev, literally seconds after the fight, which is an interesting one because he wants this so badly, and yet his quote-unquote friend just lost his title, which to me is strange. Anyway, he just tweeted, "Time to become double champion. Hashtag inshallah, let's go."
In addition, Ariel Helwani voiced his frustration over Islam Makhachev's apparent reluctance to vacate his lightweight title while preparing for a potential move to welterweight. He drew comparisons to Ilia Topuria, who willingly vacated his featherweight title to pursue new challenges, questioning why Makhachev couldn't do the same, especially when a fight with Topuria in just 47 days was a realistic option. Helwani argued that after the fight, win or lose, Makhachev's next chapter would have to be at 170 pounds.
Okay, let's just assume Islam is going to move up now to 170. He has to vacate the title. If the dude who is sitting there waiting for a title fight at 155 just vacated his title, the 155 title has to be vacated if Islam moves up, no?
I agree 100%. I mean, and I don't understand how the UFC would give, in this situation with 3 divisions basically being affected over the course of this, why they would give Islam, you know, all power over the situation. I really don't know why they would do that.
This is what I think should happen and what I would like to happen. UFC 317, International Fight Week, is, if my math is correct, this is the 11th, 19 plus 28. What's 19 plus 28? 47.
47, yep.
47 is 47 days away, right? It's 47 days away. JDM was just in an absolute war. Why can't Islam fight Ilia in 47 days and then win or lose? His next fight is at 170. It's the second biggest fight that the UFC could put on. Some might say the biggest, given how popular they both are. Why can't he fight in 47 days? If Belal was going to win tonight, if what we're being told is accurate, he was going to fight in 47 days. So why can't we get that fight in 47 days? You have now cleaned out the division, including 2 featherweight champions, and then move up and go after 170. Either after losing the belt, or you move up and get the second title. Why can't that happen? I don't understand. You're telling me if a couple of judges scored it differently,
It's a great
you were
point.
fighting in 47 days? You know what I mean?
No, it's a
That's
great
the part
point.
that I don't understand.
And
If I'm the UFC, I'm kind of annoyed.
Moreover, Ariel Helwani shared his admiration for Belal Muhammad's performance, stating that despite the loss, he should leave the octagon with his head held high. Helwani praised the resilience Belal displayed, noting how he dug deep through adversity, endured heavy damage, and adapted when his original game plan faltered. While he ultimately lost the battle on the feet, Helwani emphasized that there's no shame in the effort, calling it a phenomenal showing. In his view, both Jack Della Maddalena and Belal delivered an absolute spectacle worthy of high praise.
He should leave that cage with his head held high. That was a phenomenal performance. He dug down deep. He was, he was beaten up. He was bloodied, and his obvious game plan wasn't working, and he had to adjust. He said a lot about his striking, and he lost it essentially on the feet. But overall, he has nothing to be ashamed of. I thought both men put on an absolute show out there.
It is a crazy thing, and if you were to guess, like, who would have a plan B, who would have a plan C, who would have the deeper tools in this fight, you would have guessed that it would be Belal, right? Like, he's just been in too many, he's seen too many styles.
Oh, yeah. He's very chill. He's a chill guy. It's the best way to describe him. Like, he does not seem to get too high up, too down low. And I was really impressed with that performance in your first title fight, going 25 minutes against a grinder. Like, that's the thing with Belal. Like, he will grind you out. He will keep on coming. He has tremendous cardio. He's obviously very strong. He puts on a really, really impressive pace. And he just kept on coming. Even in the corners, he was just very calm. I was really impressed.
Heading into the fight, Maddalena had anticipated a challenging test against Belal, and according to him, the bout lived up to expectations. Coming in prepared for a well-rounded offensive threat, Maddalena approached the contest with adaptability, knowing the unpredictable nature of a high-level opponent. Strategically, his focus was to avoid getting trapped along the fence, an area where Muhammad has consistently excelled throughout his career.
Yeah, I was expecting a tough fight. Obviously, he's a good fighter, pressure fighter, good wrestling, he's pretty well-rounded. So, yeah, I was expecting a tough fight. Not really. I mean, he was saying he wasn't going to shoot takedowns, but I was expecting a all-round offense. And, yeah, I guess you can never expect anything. You just got to roll with it, and that's, I feel like, what I did. Going with the flow, I was trying to, the game plan was to stay off the fence. I feel like he does his best work on the fence. So I was trying to stay off the fence, but he was just walking down, pushing me up against the fence. But I felt like my footwork, every time he came in, I was able to hit him and then get off the fence.
While aware of the uncertainty that comes with leaving the outcome in the hands of the judges, Jack Della Maddalena believed he had done enough to secure the win by the final bell. Confident in his performance, he felt his efforts throughout the bout gave him the edge.
You never know, but I was confident I'd done pretty good work, but I guess you never know when you leave it to the judges. My corner when I finished the fight, I asked the corner a few times and they said, yep, you definitely won that. So just waiting and see, but you never know.
Reflecting further on Makhachev, Jack Maddalena acknowledged Islam Makhachev's impressive accomplishments in the sport, recognizing that such success warrants consideration for a title opportunity. However, he made it clear that the decision isn't in his hands, emphasizing that it's ultimately up to the UFC to determine if Makhachev earns that shot at welterweight gold.
Obviously, I think Islam's, what he's done is probably given him, I think he deserves a shot if he wants to step up, but I guess that's not my call. It's up to the UFC.
Reflecting on the previous showdown between Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski in Perth, Jack Della Maddalena noted it was a competitive and entertaining battle. Acknowledging the high level of the matchup, he suggested that a similar high-stakes clash makes sense moving forward. He stated that when he fights Islam, he will avenge Volk's loss.
I think it makes sense. Obviously, Volk and Islam fought in Perth a couple of years ago, and that was a great fight, and yeah, people think it was a very close fight. Volk did good, so I think it makes sense. A bit of a story there, and obviously, yeah, Perth blew the roof off the RAC, and I think if we could do it with the hometown kid defending the belt would be even better.
In response, Islam Makhachev fired back on social media, asserting that Jack Della Maddalena isn't on the same level as Alexander Volkanovski. Confident in his abilities, the lightweight king promised that if the two met inside the octagon, he would expose the gap in skill and show Maddalena the difference in levels. Islam stated, "You are not Volk, I will show you different level. Keep my belt clean." Unshaken by the response, Jack Maddalena stated with calm confidence, stating that the belt is right here, and if Islam Makhachev is truly ready for the challenge, he's welcome to come and take it.
Do you have any response to Islam?
No, come get it. Come get it.
After the fight, Jack Della reached out directly to Dana White after the fight, inquiring whether Islam Makhachev would be his next opponent. Dana responded by saying they would get things figured out soon. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the call suggests that discussions are actively underway.
Makhachev next, right? In Perth? Let's go. Cheers, Dana. Thanks, Hunter. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Legends. Cheers, guys.
Save the welterweight division.
Yeah.
Save the division.
Save it.
Meanwhile, Michael Bisping was thoroughly impressed with the bout, describing it as an all-out war from start to finish. He praised both Maddalena and Belal for delivering a high-level, memorable classic performance. For Bisping, it was the kind of fight that stands out when a fighter eventually reflects on their career, one that embodies the spirit and pride of being a professional mixed martial artist.
That was an insane fight from start to finish. Jack Della Maddalena, Belal Muhammad put on an instant classic. It was a fight to remember, and it's the type of fight, I tweeted this earlier, it's the type of fight that when you're retired and you look back at your career, performances like that, battles like that, absolute wars from start to finish like that are what makes you proud to be a fighter.
Continuing his analysis, Bisping acknowledged that while Belal Muhammad was soundly defeated, he came prepared and made Jack earn every moment of the victory. He emphasized that regardless of how the judges scored the bout, both fighters should hold their heads high for delivering a performance worthy of respect and pride. However, he pointed towards the fact that Jack was able to put Belal on the back foot, which massively changed the dynamics of the sport.
However, tonight, when the dust settled, the new champ was Jack Della Maddalena. Belal Muhammad was defeated soundly, but he showed up and he made Jack Della Maddalena work for it. However, on the judges' scorecards, 49-46, 48-47, 48-47. 4-1 to Jack or 3-2 for Jack. Either way, both men should be proud. But let's talk about the fight. We knew it was the boxing versus the wrestling. And we know that Belal Muhammad talked about having great boxing like Canelo Alvarez. Well, I'll tell you what, tonight, the hands look better than ever. The problem was that Jack Della Maddalena is sensational. When it comes to boxing, he is beautiful. He was picking his shots. He was quick. He was slick. He was in. He was out. He was cutting angles. He was landing right hands at will. It was fantastic. But Belal Muhammad, he was right there the whole time. And if you look at the strike stats, Belal Muhammad wasn't far behind. The problem for Belal, though, was that Jack Della Maddalena, in the early part of the fight, was able to control the geography of the ring. He was able to put the wrestler on the back foot. Belal landed some really good shots, but it just wasn't enough. Tonight they were saying he needs to use the game plan that he had against Leon Edwards. Yeah, sure, go forward, get a hold of him, pick him up, take him down, control him on the ground. He was trying to do that, but Jack Della Maddalena was just the better man.
In addition, Michael praised Jack Della Maddalena for his sharp shot selection, highlighting the precision that led to a significant cut on Belal Muhammad's cheek. He also credited Belal for stepping up with strong effort in the third round, noting the grit and determination he brought despite the adversity. Bisping was particularly impressed by Belal's durability, pointing out that his chin held up under heavy fire and allowed him to absorb some punishing shots without folding.
If you can put the wrestler on the back foot, then you are on to a winner. The boxing was fantastic. The shot selection was tremendous. He was throwing a lot of knees that just missed Belal Muhammad. Of course, he was expecting the takedown, no doubt drilled that knee many times in training, and he did land it in the fifth round, opened up a big cut on the cheek of Belal Muhammad. Both men at the end of this one were covered in blood. It was non-stop action. Jack won round 1. He won round 2. Belal was right there. Round 3 comes out like a bat out of hell. Turns on the pressure, turns on the gas, refused to be beaten, knows that the fight is maybe slipping out of his grasp and that the title is going to be at stake, and I really respect that of Belal. The chin of Belal Muhammad was on display tonight. That man can take a shot. I thought he was going to get finished in the 5th round. It looked like it. And then, of course, he hits a double leg takedown.
Meanwhile, the MMA guru weighed in on the outcome, stating that Jack Della Maddalena won the fight clearly. He suggested that it wasn't far-fetched to score all 5 rounds in JDM's favor. While acknowledging that a finish might have generated more hype, he noted that such an ending could have felt less significant. Instead, he praised Maddalena's ability to dominate a durable opponent like Belal Muhammad over 5 full rounds, calling the performance a strong statement in itself.
But JDM, he won the fight very clearly. I'm going to say that as well. I'm looking back at the numbers here on the recount. I'm going to say this. 5-0 JDM is not far-fetched. Let's be real. He defeats Belal Muhammad by decision. Crazy. He decisions Belal Muhammad. That's insane. A finish would have been less impressive. I honestly think. It would be cooler and there'd be more hype. But it would be less impressive to do. To take Belal 5 rounds and win the majority of those rounds. Because it couldn't have been 3-2. I don't know how the judges had this 3-2. They must have been listening to the fucking commentary of DC and John Anik commentating like Belal is out dogging JDM. JDM was like a complete piece with anything Belal hit him with. Let's just be real, he was. And he had some damage on his face for when Belal ended up on top and landed a few shots. But then he ended up beating the shit out of Belal at the end of round 5, which gave him the round. But man, JDM won the first, the second, and the third 100%. Even when he pressured forward and started swinging, JDM was tuning him up with shots on the back foot, which is insane to do with your back against the cage against Belal. To have him swinging like that on the engage, and you're backing up and pop, pop, uppercut, pop with a right hook. He just let his hands go in a way that Leon Edwards would never do. And that's why I picked him.
Adding further critique, Guru highlighted that while Belal Muhammad is a technically sound fighter with solid grappling and top-tier conditioning, he lacks true finishing ability. He noted that Belal proved to be tougher than many, including himself, had anticipated. Still, he maintained that if the fight had remained standing for longer stretches on foot, Maddalena likely would have secured a finish.
JDM can throw away unperfect shots because, listen, the fact of the matter is about Belal, as good as he is as a technical fighter and he grapples well and he's well conditioned, he has no finishing potential. And he scrapped a bit this fight because he couldn't get his takedowns and he ended up tougher than I thought he was going to be. I thought JDM would finish him if they got left on the feet for this long. But I think JDM was being extra patient, not to overthrow, end up on bottom. He went for a finish a lot against Hafez and he ended up losing position from it. But the fact is about Belal, he doesn't have any intimidation on the feet. It just seemed like whatever he hit JDM with, when JDM hit Belal, his eyes went wide. Oh God, I just got stung by a big shot there. I better shoot a takedown out of panic. I better, you know, rush him and try and pressure him and get stung again a few more times as well.
Looking towards the future, MMA Guru made a bold prediction, backing JDM to defeat Islam if the two were to meet next. He stated that the UFC had been waiting on the outcome of Maddalena's latest bout to determine the direction for Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, and Ilia Topuria. While pleased to see JDM on the path to gold, he admitted to feeling conflicted, having long supported Maddalena's rise, but also realizing that a potential showdown between Makhachev and Topuria may now be off the table.
Yeah, JDM, man. Amazing performance. I think he beats Islam Makhachev, and I think that's what they're going to do next, right? They were waiting to decide what was going to happen here, to decide what would happen between Makhachev, Oliveira, and Topuria. And if JDM won, Makhachev's going to get the title shot. And if Belal won, they were going to do Belal, Ian Gary, and Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria. Now, I'm in weird emotion about this because I've wanted JDM to be champ for so long now. I've wanted him to be champion for so long, but he's become champ, and now I'm like, but we don't get Topuria Makhachev, and we would have. I honestly think if Belal won, Makhachev would have been maybe looking for it anyway, but like obviously got more ushered into the lightweight title fight instead with Ilia. But it was always one-way street with Belal and Islam Makhachev. Belal was just so overly nice to him that Makhachev felt like he couldn't call for that fight, you know? He on multiple occasions said, I want...
Analyst James Lynch shared his reaction to Jack Della Maddalena's victory, stating he wasn't surprised by the win itself, but was caught off guard by the fact it came by decision rather than the TKO he had anticipated. Despite that, Lynch praised Maddalena's performance, noting that he looked incredible across all 5 rounds.
I am surprised by this. I'm not surprised that Jack won in the sense that, you know, Jack's a very talented fighter. I'm surprised he won a decision. If you would have told me Jack Della Maddalena was going to win this fight, I thought maybe he'd catch Belal, he'd knock him out, but JDM looked great tonight. Really good takedown defense. Really good output. His cardio. This guy can go 5 rounds. This is something we were really wondering about going into this fight. He didn't have that 5-round experience. Belal Muhammad did. At 36, he's not going to get a rematch. There's so many questions from this now, and Jack's only 28. There's lots of interesting fights ahead in the welterweight division.
Wrapping up his thoughts, Lynch expressed his surprise at the unfolding landscape, noting that few would have predicted a potential matchup between JDM and Makhachev. However, based on Maddalena's dominant showing against Belal Muhammad, Lynch believes that it's now clear that JDM has the tools and ability to beat Makhachev.
JDM did really turn it up. I know Belal got a takedown or two, but really impressive win here for Jack Della Maddalena. And because of this, we're now going to be getting, I guess we're going to wait to get the official announcement. It means we're getting Islam and Jack Della Maddalena. Like, who would have thought that was going to happen a couple months ago? It's pretty crazy. So honestly, the way Jack looked tonight, I think he's one of the best in the world right now. Obviously, he's the champ, but you know, you always thought like maybe like a Shavkat or Ian Gary or one of these guys, right, on the come up, a Sean Brady. But Jack looks pretty legit, and the fact he hasn't lost in the UFC yet, I think makes it very intriguing. And honestly, if he fights Islam, I think the way he fought tonight, I think he could beat Islam Makhachev. But again, we'll have to wait till that all unfolds. But yeah, huge win here for Jack Della Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena's dominant win over Belal Muhammad has reshaped the welterweight title picture and potentially derailed Islam Makhachev's super fight with Ilia Topuria. With Makhachev now eyeing double champ status and Maddalena welcoming the challenge, the UFC stands at a crossroads. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay ahead of all the major MMA storylines, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more fight analysis, and drop a comment. Who do you think wins if Makhachev steps up to face Maddalena?